Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Wayne Grayson, and you're watching Equipment World. Welcome into another episode of The Dirt, the video podcast that brings you interviews and discussion on the latest in heavy equipment, trucks, and construction industry trends. On this episode of The Dirt, we'll be talking with John Deere product expert Grant Van Tine. Now, over the last couple of years, John Deere has been working on a major refresh, really a complete overhaul of its wheel loader lineup. And earlier this year, the company completed a generational update of its mid-size loader lineup from the K Series to the new L Series. So coming up today on The Dirt, we're going to be discussing with Grant the development of the 7 new mid-size L Series wheel loaders, and that includes the 444L, 524L, 544L, 624L, 644L, and its hybrid machine, and the 724L. Grant, welcome in, man. Thanks so much for joining us today to talk about these new L Series machines. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Wayne. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Grant, the first question that I have for you is kind of logistical in nature, as it really kind of addresses the whole of this mid-size loader lineup. But this advance in the lineup from K Series to L Series started back in 2019 with the 524L, 544L, and 624L. And then it was completed with the release earlier this year of the 444L, 644L, and its hybrid model, and the 724L. So, my question is, could you kind of discuss what goes into deciding which models get these updates first? Which models in the lineup are first to receive these generational updates? Obviously this doesn't happen just with loaders, but we do see these generational updates sometimes phased into lineups at different times and in different ways. But for instance, really the 444L, it's the smallest in this lineup, but its updated model was introduced with the larger part of the lineup. So what kind of goes into your guys' thought process in terms of deciding which of the loaders gets the generational updates first?
Yeah, so, Wayne, ideally, we probably would have loved to have released all the models at the same time, but this was really a major launch for Deere, and we haven't seen one of this magnitude in about 10 years. So we're talking just on the mid-size loaders, 7 models of our L Series, and really 10 models if you can count our 744, 824, and 844 models, which were mixed in there as well. So really for us to handle this to the most efficiently that we can from a design, from a manufacturing, and really overall support standpoint, we choose to have a staggered release of the models. And how we arrive at the mix and the timing, really, it's a combination of factors, but kind of comes down to where do we see the biggest customer needs in the market, and what do we want to bring to market quickly to address those needs and any demands that are out there, and also just commonality between the models as well. So how we've grouped them together really has a lot to do with those factors.
Now, still without getting into model specifics at this point, promise we're going to do that in a bit, but Grant, first give us a 30,000-foot view of the L Series update. How would you characterize the improvements, the updates, the advances that are part of this advance from K Series to L Series? Or, in other words, what are the key trends or improvements that are happening with the L Series?
Really, it's about 3 things, I would say: comfort, versatility, and performance. So we've got all new cabs, they're larger, more storage, improved ergonomics. We've got improved versatility in terms of new linkages, improvements to our linkage, attachment improvements and new attachment offerings. And then from a performance side, our new electro-hydraulic controls and a number of features that we'll talk about later on that result of those controls.
So maybe the biggest hardware or component change between generations is the new Z-bar loader linkage. So what specifically is different about the design of this linkage from the one that came before it? And also I'd like to hear you discuss the improvements that the new linkage provides, like visibility, near parallel lift, those types of things. So kind of go ahead and go into the specifics on this new linkage.
Sure, yeah. So we've completely redesigned the Z-bar linkage on our L Series loaders. So as you mentioned, we now have near parallel lift. And what that means is on our previous K Series, we had 21 degrees of parallelism, where we're now at 8 degrees of parallelism. So where this comes in is if an operator is using forks, throughout that lift cycle, there are fewer adjustments the operator has to make to keep that load level. So that's a huge especially when we talk about the versatility of these machines, knowing that many of them are equipped with couplers, they're using buckets, forks, and other attachments. Another thing that we did was we improved the visibility to the coupler, and the way we did that was in the cross tube center section that connects the left and right side of the boom. We relocated that and profiled it so that the sight lines from the operator in the seat are more direct, and he has better visibility to the hooks on the coupler and really right down to the attachment where he wants to see. So major improvements there just in terms of visibility. We've also on the Linkage improved our bucket rollback capability, and we're able to now achieve about 15 degrees more rollback compared to our previous K series. And this is really important when it comes to material retention, and we'll talk about some of that with some of the bucket improvements we've made as well. But we've also improved the Linkage on a couple of models, in improving our hinge pin height, increasing that on a couple models. We've added a high lift plus. We still have a high lift option on our 444 through 824 models, which gives us about another 12 inches of height to hinge pin over the standard Z-bar. And we now have this high lift plus on our 524 through 624 models, which gives you about another 12 inches over the standard high lift. So really excited about those, as well as not specific to Z-bar obviously, but tool carrier linkages that are now available on 524 and 624 models.
Now, like we were talking about earlier, the first of these loaders that were introduced last year were the 524L, the 544L, and the 624L. And one of the improvements released with those machines, and you just alluded to this when you were talking just a second ago, you just alluded to this, but it was a new enhanced production bucket. So do the new, more recently released models, the 444, the 644, and the 724, did they get that new bucket as well? And what are the design improvements with that bucket, and what can operators expect in terms of material retention improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. We've improved all of our L series buckets to this enhanced production style that you mentioned, and so that does include the 444 and 644 and 724 models. But really, that's a couple of things. The buckets have been designed for easier loading and better material retention, and we've done that through an improved profile that has curved side cutters now rather than straight side cutters, which helps with the material retention and loading, as well as a center section spill guard on top of the bucket that really helps with the retention piece. So when you combine that with the improved rollback that we have, really makes for better performance out of our buckets and better material retention. Now we have these available in a pin-on configuration in our John Deere high-vis coupler, which is our ISO style coupler, as well as a JRB style coupler configuration. So, in addition to these new improvements, we also have new sizes available as well that we didn't previously have on K series. So a lot of advancements made here on the bucket front for sure with our L series loaders.
Good deal. Well, hey Grant, let's move on to talk a little bit about engines. Are there new engines across this lineup, or are the engines in these new machines kind of carried over from the K series lineup? And then second to that, if there are any improvements with these engines, tell us about those. For instance, the 644L models and the 724L have both seen power increases. So, what's behind that increase? Is it new engines? Is it something else? Tell us about these power increases.
So, yeah, we have seen horsepower improvements. Specifically, you mentioned the 644 and 724. Our 724 had a modest bump from 264 on the 724K to 268 now on the 724L. Our 644 hybrid went from 229 to 231, but the biggest increase we've seen is on the conventional 644, which went from 232 to 249 net peak horsepower. So, we have seen some big gains there, and really, you talk about what drove that. It is in the engine. We have maintained the same engine on two of the three of those. The 724 retains the 9-liter engine that we had in the K series. Our 644 hybrid has a 6.8-liter engine, and actually we have now adopted that engine down to the conventional 644, where it previously had the 9-liter. So we have had this horsepower increase, and really that comes down to efficiencies that we've made just in terms of power density within the engine, and we're able to meet our performance targets now on the 644 with the 6.8-liter.
Now, one other kind of follow-up to what you were just talking about there, Grant. On the rest of the lineup, on the remaining 4 models, are those engines also carried over from their K-Series counterparts?
Correct. Yeah, they retain the same displacement as their K-Series models.
Now, you have mentioned the 644L hybrid, and I do want to talk a little bit specifically about that machine there. You just mentioned the engine, but are there any kind of changes or big improvements to that hybrid powertrain on the new L-Series machine over the K-Series model? Or can we kind of expect similar performance to the K-Series on these new machines?
So the biggest difference there is now having a final tier 4 solution in the 644 hybrid. But from a drivetrain standpoint, it's the same proven drive system that we used on the 644K hybrid. So essentially, you've got an engine powering a single generator that we then have an inverter that controls an electric motor on a simplified transmission. And from that point out, it's a conventional drivetrain. So you've got drive shafts, you've got differentials and axles. And we've retained that technology. As I said, it's served us well in the 644K hybrid. And we've carried that forward now to the 644L hybrid. And one of the cool things about that machine is some of the features that we get with that hybrid electric transmission. One of them being coast control that provides dynamic braking similar to a hydrostatic transmission. So the loader can slow down without the operator having to touch the brake pedal, which many benefits there. One being just wear life on your service brakes. But operators a lot of times comment on the 644 hybrid just on the ease of operation, performance in ramp climbing, ability to load the bucket, the crowding power, the pushing power, benefits that we get from having the ability to run the engine at a constant speed. So your hydraulics are right there, and as the operators will say, when you need them, and really just giving that machine a little extra performance boost in addition to the fuel savings we see with the drivetrain.
Now, as a follow-up to that question, Grant, could you talk about why the hybrid powertrain, this is just out of my own curiosity, but why that hybrid powertrain is found on the 644L model specifically? And I guess another part of that question is really a customer question. There's got to be specific applications and specific customers in mind behind a decision like that. So kind of discuss why that machine specifically is the hybrid, who a hybrid loader is for in your mind, beyond customers that just want to save on fuel burn.
So, why a 644? I would say, that's a really popular common size class of loader. And, when we set out on this path to explore different electric drivetrain systems, that was a good machine to start with just because of the versatility of it, going into a number of different applications and appealing to a number of different customers in different segments. So it's really served us well and gotten us a lot of exposure in different industries there. Certainly the fuel savings, companies looking to have a green image, there's an attraction to the machine based on that. But there certainly are performance benefits and really the ease of operation piece we hear quite a bit. And that's becoming a bigger deal now, especially as we know in the industry that contractors are having challenges retaining operators and finding new operators, and being able to put someone in the seat and get them up to speed to where they're proficient faster is a big deal. And with the 644 hybrid, it's very accommodating to a newer or inexperienced operator to be proficient in a short amount of time.
Now, another L Series improvement is the inclusion of electro-hydraulic controls. Obviously, we're starting to see the spread of these EH controls through, more and more machine types, not just loaders, obviously, as kind of the years go by, but especially here, I really want to say in the last, 24 months or so. So could you talk about electro-hydraulic controls and the way that they're improving operation on these L Series machines over what was found on the K Series?
Our L Series loaders, as you mentioned, now have new electro-hydraulic controls. Previously on our K Series, we had pilot controls. So when we make that transition to EH, as we've seen it in a number of machine forms, it really opens up the capabilities that we have just in terms of new features and technology that we can bring to the machine. So we have them available just as before in either a single lever joystick or single axis controls. So operators can choose the style that they're most familiar with. One of the cool things that we have on these controls is on either style, we have two programmable multi-function buttons. So what the operator can do is choose from a variety of functions that they may commonly need to activate, engage for whatever task they're performing, and they can have those functions right at their fingertips. So it could be something as simple as the horn. They could change it to diff lock or transmission kickdown, just as a few examples. And that's all programmable through the monitor. We have new soft stops, which helps with the cushioning at the end of the stroke of the hydraulics. We have a new precision mode, which allows for fine metering of the boom or bucket. So if maybe it's a sewer and water type contractor, they're setting a piece of pipe or manhole or something, they really have that ability to fine meter it with the precision mode. We have a bucket vibrate feature, which allows us to wrap out the bucket if the operator is either trying to meter material or clean out the bucket without having to manually do that on the joystick. It's just a press of a button. One of the cool things now that we have is return to dig that can be set from the seat of the cab. So the operator can adjust return to dig just by using our sealed switch module, the touch pad next to them. And it works in both the curl and dump positions. So you can always get the bucket or forks back to that preset level position rather easily. From an attachment standpoint, we have a lot of capabilities with EH, and we can actually have up to 4 auxiliary attachments, four auxiliary functions controlled on a single joystick if equipped properly, depending on the model. So really gives us new capabilities there for some of these more sophisticated attachments that some customers are using. In addition to that, we have specific settings for individual attachments that the operator can set through the monitor. Things like flow settings and speeds can be tailored to a specific attachment. And then, we've got things like throttle lock as an option, constant flow auxiliary settings available through the monitor that really allows you to tailor the operation to something, like a broom or other powered attachment, and really get the most performance out of the machine, and as well as increasing the versatility of it.
Now, while the larger production series loaders have gone to stick steer as kind of the standard, steering scheme, these mid-size loaders are still offering a steering wheel as standard. So why is that the case, Grant?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct, Wayne. And it really comes down to customer preference. If you think about the nature of our large loaders, the 744 on up, those machines are really heavily in that quarry and aggregate space. A lot of times those type of customers have, a dedicated operator or maybe a couple of operators that are really highly skilled loader experts And joystick steering has just kind of become the standard for those customers in that industry. You think about mid-size loaders, and they're, as we mentioned, pretty versatile, used in a wide variety of applications. You may have a case where you got multiple operators per machine, and operators that run multiple machines. So just going back to that versatility piece, the customers just prefer to have a steering wheel. That's what most of those operators are more comfortable with. But we do have the option for joystick steering on our 644 and 724 models as well. But certainly, as we're hearing from customers now, the steering wheel is preferred on the midsize.
Another big piece to this L Series update is a new cab design. So what are some of the big changes that are happening inside the cab?
A lot in the cab, and we're pretty excited about it. We actually have two cab packages. We have a standard cab and a premium cab, but both cabs give you an additional 3 inches of leg room. We've got more, we'll say, functional storage space and mounting locations for things that an operator may have throughout the day, lunchbox, hard hat, even, mounting accessories, payload scales, and that sort of thing. Just giving more flexibility to the customer. We've got a dual tilt steering column, improved HVAC performance in the cab, and also an optional dedicated rear camera display. Our premium cab has a few additional features. We can get a premium seat that's both heated and ventilated, heavy duty air suspension seat, remote powered and heated rear view mirrors, exterior mirrors. We have a premium radio with Bluetooth, and then automatic temperature control. So, all these things, we know it's important for the operator to stay comfortable throughout the day in order to be productive, and that's really what this is targeted to do. Another cool thing that we have available as an option is our seatbelt minder system, which includes a beacon on top of the cab that alerts bystanders, or it illuminates green when the seatbelt is latched. And then that's also tied into our JD Link telematics system. So owners and others that are tied into that, fleet managers, can get alerts just based on the status of the seatbelt in the cab.
All right, so we've talked about new controls, a new linkage, a new cab on these machines. So I'm interested to hear from you, Grant, on how you think all of these improvements add up. What can operators coming from an older machine expect, even something in the last 2 or 3 generations of these machines, what can they expect to be wowed by when they hop inside and start operating one of these new L Series loaders? Give us an idea of how the experience of operating them is different from those previous generations.
Yeah, and I would, I guess, answer that maybe just easier for the operator. Improving comfort, improving visibility. Especially we talk about that visibility to the attachment. Easier to adapt different attachments to the machine, which kind of plays into the versatility piece. So just making the machine do what the operator wants it to do relatively easily. That's really what this is all about, keeping that operator happy and productive and making money for the customer.
And finally, Grant, talk a little bit about the ease of maintenance on these loaders. What are some of the kind of core maintenance features or improvements that are present on the L Series machines?
A lot to talk about here from a maintenance side. We do everything we can to make the machines easy to maintain, knowing that the easier it is to do, the more likely it is to get done. So, we have things like left side daily service, group service points, right on the same side as the fuel fill. So real easy for the operator to check fluids. We've added remote jump start terminals, so really easy to access those and jump start other machines if needed. Our quad cool system, which we've had for years, is really a feather in our cap. Just we feel very strongly about our cooling package, having it isolated from the engine compartment. And just the overall box design making it really easy to access the coolers, clean them out from both sides. You've got a swing out hydraulic variable speed fan in the rear grille, so really easy to get back in there. And you can also equip it with a reversing fan as well that you can program to reverse the preset intervals right from the cab. And we talked a little bit about engine, but our DPF strategy and exhaust filter cleaning strategy is another advantage that I'll point out, that it's a system managed approach that the operator can just do what they normally do, and the system will take care of itself. It's on the fly system. And in most cases, when it's managed properly, the DPF won't need to be replaced or cleaned, physically removed to be cleaned until engine overhaul. So there's no preset intervals where it has to be changed over time. You just let the system manage itself. We've got available features like environmental drains, fluid sample ports, engine compartment light, quick fluid service, tire pressure monitoring on our 644/724. So really a lot there available to customers that are looking to simplify maintenance and make it easier on their mechanics as well as their operators.
All right, Grant. Well, hey, man, again, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to hop on and talk with us about these new L-Series machines. It's certainly an interesting update. And yeah, man, appreciate your time. Be safe out there.
Yeah, no, thanks, Wayne, for having me, and really appreciate the opportunity. We're obviously excited about our L-Series loaders, so thank you for having me on today.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of The Dirt and a discussion around the latest mid-size wheel loaders from John Deere. Let us know what you think of these machines in the comments below. We always love hearing from you guys. And if you liked this video and found it useful in your next machine purchase or rental, do us a favor and hit that like button below. It really helps our channel out. And if you want more videos and more coverage on the latest in construction equipment, visit us at our website at equipmentworld.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter while you're there. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right here on YouTube and turn on notifications. Hit the bell so you're receiving up-to-the-minute alerts whenever we drop a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate your time. We'll see you next time.